Hi everyone, welcome to the last episode of the season for the Badge and Beyond. Today we're running into the end of the year. Look, we wanted to talk about something we don't often talk about amongst cops outside of cops, and that is the pranks, the prank wars and the jokes. One of the best things about being in the cops is sometimes the practical jokes, sometimes the good humour, and cops have a great... They're just so good at coming up with hilarious practical jokes, really. It's hilarious sometimes unless you're on the other side of it. Yeah. Danny, I know you've had experience with it. I've had experience with it. Give me an example.
Oh, geez. So the preamble before we started was, I don't know what may or may not get me in trouble. So I've been reviewing legislation and what's statute barred and what's not. I'm pretty sure I'm good. And hey, this is all for entertainment purposes anyway, of course. So I had a little bit of a reputation, probably not much, not a little bit, quite a significant reputation at the station. Do not get into a prank war with me. I have a problem with limits. And I took it as, it's like jail rules, right? You make an example of someone quickly so that they never do it to you again. Anyway, it all started because when I was at the stage, I was leading senior constable. I'd been around for at least 7 years at that stage. And there was a sergeant that was very blokey and chummy with everyone kind of thing. I got a lot of time for him. He's a good guy. Can't dance for shit, but he had some interesting sort of quirks. And briefly, at a certain period of time, he came back to being my supervisor. And he liked to prank other people. So unbeknownst to me, someone had told him, don't prank Danny, because he'll take it to another level. And he's like, well, and he's your sergeant. So
That's red rag to a bull, right?
Yeah,
when
yeah.
someone says don't prank them.
So he said, fuck it, whatever, he's going to. Now, there are some things that are rookie errors. One of those things is leaving your police computer system, especially your messaging system, open, unlocked, because someone can jump on as you and disseminate information to everyone.
Yeah.
So I had someone in custody. I was doing a charge. I was in a proactive unit at the time. And I don't know, custody called, come down, I have to do something, answer some questions. So I thought, I'll just come down. It was a very senior sergeant working in custody. And it's out of respect, you'd go and talk to him. I wouldn't even call him for these kind of things. Out of respect, I'd go down and speak to him, kind of thing. And he was like a bit of a mentor. I learned a lot from him. So I remember just going down to do something. My offsider was helping me, because again, it was normal for them to jump on your computer and keep adding to the narrative and blah, blah, blah. So the sergeant apparently told my offsider at the time, if Danny gets off, come and call me. So he then decides to jump on my profile and sends a message to the station. And he, something stupid, I can't remember what it was that dumb, that it went everywhere, and then it was like, you got me. So I'm like, all right, game on. So I created a series of events. And the first one was to drench him with water. And the way I did that was stock standard, filled up a bucket full of water, had the door a little bit ajar, sitting on top of the door, so as he opens the door, it falls and it drenches him. Ooh, it drenched him all right. It got him really good, and it just went everywhere, right? And so he's like, all right, it's on, he's gonna...
Yeah. Now he's been really gotten good.
Yeah.
So now it's brinksmanship, right?
Yep. So then he decided to fill we have like a messaging box, like they used to call them pigeonholes. It's like a little shelf. You've got a little key lock, and you open, and you put like your briefs and sort of different things in there.
There's also like a slot, so you can put stuff in there.
And when I mean briefs, police briefs,
whatever.
not underwear, right?
Yeah.
That's a different video. Anyway, so they put it. So he started. We had these like with the tea and coffee uses like the little packets of sugar and all that kind of. This is how outrageous he was. The sealed packs, he threw them in my pigeonhole and like a butter one, a honey thing, but all sealed, right? So I'm like, all right, no problem. So I super glued his mailbox, his whole pigeonhole, so he could never open it again. Right? And before I super glued it, I put like a bit of perspex behind the slot, so then you wouldn't know. You could looks like it's see-through, and so you'd be trying to put things in, and nothing can get in. And then I've sealed it, so then you can't. Even if it unlocks it, it doesn't open anything. So it was stuck. You may or may not call that a malicious damage, but statute of limitations. Anyway, then he just went, I think this has been taken too far, and we went, okay. The day we agreed that it's been taken too far, he left his messaging system open. So I messaged the commissioner on his profile.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, and it gets looked at like by a commissioned, there's like a
Yep.
staff officer, I think,
Yep.
that reads the whatever. And he sent him a pretty big complaint telling him, you're not supposed to leave your profile open, you're blah, 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 blah. I remind you about your data security, all that kind of stuff. Anyway. So that's where that ended. Now, he then, about, I don't know, mate, and I never forget, about a couple of years later, he was now acting inspector. And it was his first shift as duty officer on a general duty shift. I was the acting sergeant at the time. So we took his car, as in the inspector's car, got the spare out, and when he parked at a job, I jumped in, drove his car, and took off with it. So he doesn't know where the hell his car is, what's going on. And then I thought, shit, what if he jumps on the radio and says, I think my car's been stolen? So I have to be careful of that. Now, the good part of that was, guess what? He left his portable radio in the car. So he really couldn't broadcast it. And everyone else on the team is in on the joke. So whoever he was going to ask would contact me and sort it. But yeah, I had to tell him what we did eventually, but.
How long did he go looking for the car?
Oh yeah, he at one stage thought maybe he didn't drive to the job. He was just trying to work out what the hell, how did he get here? Because gone, right? He didn't know. And you're never going to think someone stole your police car.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it was pretty good. And it's his first job. He's freaking out. He's panicking. First time as inspector. Like
Yeah, you lose the car.
Yeah. It was pretty good. Look, I have many others, but I don't know. Do you want?
Oh, mate, I want to hear them all.
So there was a problem with our team, and that was we really had a lot of fun. So we were all very, very close. And it's not like where you had, in some teams there's like cliques. There's 4 or 5, 7 or 8. Our entire team was a clique. It was a really, really strong, close team. The old team 4 at Bankstown. We had, from senior to the most junior people, an amazing crew. Many of them have gone on to become quite impressive officers. And been involved in really high profile cases too. Very proud of all of them. But so when the supervisor is your supervisor or acting up as the inspector too, and it's just all your team and there's no ring-ins, that's what you call a solid shift, which means everyone's trustworthy. No one's going to snitch you for doing anything. We would have amazing fun. If that was a night shift, God help the world. Like the patrol was not safe. Don't get me wrong, extremely hard-working team. We did everything, ran into everything, not scared of nothing. But we know how to have our fun. And our lunches were awesome lunches. Everybody would pitch in. It was a really good environment. And as in all policing general duties journeys, especially, it goes up and down. You have like 3 great months and you have 2 shit months, and then some moron becomes a supervisor, ruins everything, and some idiot cares about the worm. Anyway, right? So there's all kinds of things that happen in that space. So at this time, it's at its pinnacle. Like, we're loving life. It's probably good it came to an end, because half of us probably would have got arrested. And at the time, do you remember the show Cops?
Yeah,
on TV? Yeah. And it was like, it would always open up with Bad Boys.
Yeah.
Bad Boys. Yeah, the original, right? and it would be like in bit of black and white and showing different shots. So I decided it might be a good idea to launch our own Bad Boys show. And we're going back now, right? I'm not going to say which years, because just in case I can incriminate myself. And we'd bring the old, it wasn't such a handy cam, it was a pretty decent size, video camera. And so every night shift that we had a solid crew on, the video camera would come out and we would make our own
episode of Cops,
including soundtrack. So what I did was I recorded the soundtrack onto the Paddy Wagon PA system. So you know how if you press record, it'll actually you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So you can record onto the microphone, and then it comes out of a speaker
in the car. Yeah.
In the car, like for the
external, kind of like if you were like someone else, like a bullhorn kind of thing. When you're trying to give a message for people to move out of the way.
I had a lot of fun with that thing. The day I realised you could record onto it was a bad day for Bankstown, because I would announce opening and closing times of prostitution hours at Bankstown and drive through our patrol. You can tell it's going to be the last episode of the season, maybe for good. So I would say, good evening, consumers. The Bankstown prostitutes will be operating from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. Please make sure your activities have closed by blah, blah, blah. And then drive through those streets. And just to see the look of our street workers going, what? Then I also recorded the Mr. Whippy theme. So I'd go around do and drive through the streets of Greenacre and other areas as like I'm the Mr. Whippy van. Also would get interesting looks as we drove through the streets. On these night shifts, I would record the Bad Boys theme. So as we're driving through, you hear bad boys, bad boys. That's what would happen, right? So depending on who's driving, one of us would have a video camera, and then he'd be like, so we're off to a noise complaint. Caller says blah, blah, blah. In these situations, you have to worry about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Full on episode, right?
But are you taking the piss while you're doing that? Like you're making stuff about what you need to worry about on a noise complaint?
Yes.
Yeah, good.
And then I would take it with me into the job. So depending on what the job, usually it was noise complaints and something minor, I'd bring it down. And then we'd knock on the door, and then they would think it's actually legitimate. We're actually and I'd say like, this is for training purposes. Yeah. So I would continue. And it was, the entire night shift. So then while they're talking to me, I'm like, so as you can see, this person's quite upset about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I would relay and document the entire thing. So everything was fine until Halloween. And we decided, well, it should be themed.
No.
So then several of us wore masks and different things to the jobs. So it was Cops, Halloween edition, and then like a mask, a this or whatever. And I remember distinctly two of the cops in my team wearing pig masks, which is quite funny considering cops, whatever.
Yeah.
So, someone would go, scream out pigs, and I'd be like, what? Oh, that's okay. And we'd continue. Anyway, on one of the occasions, there was a noise complaint. I won't say the suburb. There was a noise complaint, and it was pretty late. It was like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, for like loud talking, loud screaming something, right? Didn't sound like distress. It just sounded someone's just, getting a bit boisterous. So as we were walking up, being this suburb has its own notoriety for interesting characters. At the bottom of the unit block, there was a very large stuffed animal, like a stuffed dog. It was to my chest height, really, really large one that someone had discarded out, to be thrown out for a tip or whatever. Half that suburb was a tip. Anyway, so one of the cops with me goes, I think he could be a police dog. And I'm like, okay. So off it comes, and one of the officers is dragging along this stuffed dog toy to this noise complaint with me. What I'd also done is, it was winter and I was wearing the leather jacket. I'd taken every officer's name badge for the team that day and just listed it. So as my name is Officer blah, 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 all the way down. It was about 12 things. And I had a cowboy hat on. So what was funny is the occupant wasn't fazed by fucking anything. Opened the door, she's like, hello. I go, police, my name is Constable blah, 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 all the way down. She's like, yeah. And there's our stuffed dog with my offsider explaining the video where, you know, okay, come in. And then there's, come on, mate. And brings the stuffed dog in. And she's on an international call. So she's loud. So I'm like, all right, who are you talking to? She goes, I'm talking to a relative. Now, I speak that home tongue. So I'm like, can I talk to them? She's like, yes. So I start having a conversation with this person overseas, explaining what I'm doing. And then I'm explaining to the camera, so this person, say hello. And we did a whole episode in that house. Noise abated, right? And we left. Anyway, a lot of the exploits I will not go into on said footage material, but we ended up having so much material we arranged a private screening for the documentary, and it was very entertaining. So it's one of those fun chapters of my time.
Damn.
Yeah. I'll give you one more. So maybe a year on from Cops TV, one of the officers, female officer, again, a lot of respect for her. She was an amazing cop. We're both out of the job now, obviously. Very tough girl. Really good operator, very smart. Became a really good detective. But she was not backwards in coming forwards, mate. And she'd be the first one in a brawl. You know, great cop, a lot of respect for her. She was well loved by the team. But everyone was scared shitless of her, right? And I'm like, oh, she's just a teddy bear, right? So, especially the junior officers that she trained were terrified of her. Mind you, both of these guys ended up going to the tactical, right? But it was quite funny. So, one night we're at a night shift and she's at the outstation. She was at Bass Hill. And we're having a conversation around, remember the pranks, remember the blah, blah, blah. And they brought up that supervisor and what I did with him. And she went, what's so scary about you? You know, I don't give, and they're looking at her like, don't. And she's like, I don't care. Well, you know, what are you going to do? So I'm like, all right, whatever. I left it at that. And everyone thought it was forgotten. It wasn't forgotten. So she decides to start this by putting shredded paper into my pigeonhole. Again with the pigeonhole. So I emptied out the entire contents of the sugar and coffee in the office, in the tea room, into her coffee. So that when she opened it, she went shh, and all this tea and coffee went everywhere. So she's like, very funny. Is that all you got, McCarty? And she took off.
Is that all you got?
So I went, okay. She's at an outstation again. So it's a night shift. I'm supervising. So I get back to the station early and go and find her actual locker, not the pigeonhole, the full, the blue lockers that we used to have that put all your stuff in, your uniform and blah, blah, blah. The drama with that is it was in the women's change room. So I had to make sure, got one of the female officers to go in, make sure no one's here. Stand out guard, I'm going in, right? So I go in, and the good thing for us, it's all labelled, each officer's thing. Yeah. So I see her name, and I looked at it. So I removed the entire locker. So the whole thing, taken it out, and then took it all the way up to the rooftop. We were in a business tower. Placed it on a rooftop and covered it in crime scene tape. Then I left a little letter stuck to the wall where her locker used to be, and basically wrote, we have taken your locker. To find this, you'll have to unlock a series of envelopes and crack the code to get to it. Now, what time do you finish on a night shift, Anthony?
Oh, shit. Yeah.
And outstation shift, right? So not only do you wait until you get replaced at like 5:30, 5:40 in the morning after starting at 5:30 p.m., you have to come back, put back your gun, do all this crap, you're stuffed, right? You just want to go home. So it was, they were that interested to see her response that everybody on my team just waited in the muster room, didn't go home until she came to the station to get her stuff. So obviously she's going into the women's change room, so we can't hear her. Oh, what? But we could, because as we went near the doorway, all you hear is, oh, what the fuck? And so everyone's laughing their ass off, and she just marches. Now, I've gone into hiding, because I'm like, I'm just going to be bursting out laughing the entire time, and I don't want her to come and ask me where things are. So I don't want her to find me. She's screaming out my name several times because she knows I had to be behind this, and every cop that's laughing at her is getting threatened for their life, right? So the greatest image I have of her is her carrying with one hand her locker over her shoulder as she comes out of the elevator. That's how I saw her. She looked at me as she came out. I'm like, you unlocked the clues. Anyway, she said a few more expletives and off she goes. However, that was her last shift before annual leave. So one would think that's the end of it.
You thought you'd finished it off, yeah.
Well, no. So her roommate was also a police officer. And so I got from her, when is she coming back from leave, all the logistics, because she needed to be picked up, whatever. I swapped with one of the supervisors to make sure I was supervising the shift that she came in, back to Sydney, and drove out to the train station where she was coming back from a country little staycation somewhere. And look, when a uniformed police officer or two or three or four walk onto a train, the train stops. Right? Now, this train didn't have that many people coming back. It's like a country link kind of thing, whatever it was. So it's pretty, but where it was, it's a pretty decent exchange, as you can probably work out what I'm talking about. So we all split up to go find, we don't know what carriage she's in. So thank God, I'm the one that finds her first. So I'm walking through the carriage, and there she is. There's two other people in the carriage. She's sitting on her own, like hammered. You know, she's been, it's a long train ride. And she looks at me and just goes, okay, yep, come on. And she knew not to put up a struggle or say anything. She just grabbed her bag, walked over to me, whispered, I can't fucking believe it. And so there's this one woman with this like swag bag thing, escorted by these cops walking out, and everyone's just looking at her going, what the hell what did this woman do that needs this freaking police escort? And I just drove her back home. I mean, it was friendly civic duty. She got to, you know.
New South Wales Police Taxi Service.
Yeah. I think I'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I probably already pushed a few things, but that's kind of a little glimpse into the world of my pranking.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, keep your eyes on the court list because you'll see Danny McCarty listed soon.
How about you, bro?
You ever listen to someone's stories and go, I'm not really sure if mine meets that threshold. I really don't. And I have to admit, I think I've forgotten so much of the stuff we pulled, but mine was never as good as that.
That's because you're legal.
Yeah. So look, I guess I've got a few, and it's a smattering of some of the ones, but some of them I'll say were also, I'll use some other people's because they just bear saying. So one of the best stories I came across is not a prank, it's just something crazy. They went to a job for a person's on premises, and this basically one of the sergeants turns up. Detective sergeant, they're like, have we got a dog to go clear it? No dog. And like everybody's like, we don't want to go. Like, we know there's someone in there. God knows. And like, hang on. Yeah, we got a dog. Dog's coming. And all of a sudden the detective sergeant's like at the door going, We're going to put a dog in. Come out. Nothing. We're going to put a dog in. Release the dog. And it's like this. Yep, 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 yep.
Yeah.
And like, no, and then what? The inspector's like,
I'm guilty of this.
mate, bigger dog. I was like, woof, woof, woof. And sure as shit,
It works.
the guy comes out of the roof.
Yep. I've done it on immigration warrants. It works.
Yeah, runs out the back door and gets caught by the guys out the back. So there's shit like that.
Yep.
But one that I wasn't a part of, but I was in the office because everybody got chewed out for it. There's one guy that was a particular prankster. And while he was a prankster, probably not the world's thoroughest of detectives. So he's writing up a statement. He's done what you've done. He's walked away from the computer.
Yep.
So in the midst of a paragraph, one of the other guys, such and such is a fuckwit. I like to suck and do and whatever else, right? Hilarious. But the problem with it was that he didn't tell the guy. No one told him, and old mate was rushing to get the statement in his brief.
Oh no.
So, because he's hidden it so well in the midst of the statement, like in the midst of a paragraph, the one before the guy was working on, he didn't check it. So then that goes through to court. That goes to the defense and that goes to the DPP.
So no one picks it up.
No one picks it up because he didn't put it through the brief handler or anything else.
Oh shit.
So all of a sudden, boom, automatic complaint.
Yeah.
Because DPP get it, and the defence, and the defence are loving this because he's your credibility and professionalism just ruined, and DPP are read through and gone,
Yeah.
So that's gone back, and then the entire office got chewed out. Now, the same guy was a bit of a prankster, like I said, and I can't even remember how he got me, but he targeted me a couple of times, and I was acting supervisor at the time for the Ds. So I'm going through and I'm verifying events because you kind of verify your own events. And I see that this guy's gone to one of our very regular teenage offenders and he's done a personal search on him. So I've called the supervisor downstairs because if it comes from me, he's going to know. I call the supervisor downstairs and I'm like, hey, can you look at this event for me? He's like, yeah, what's going on? You need it verified? I'm like, no. I want you to say that this kid came into the station and has made a formal complaint that when he was being searched, so male on male, and that the prankster has, touched him indecently, and that he's been told that you've basically got to put it up to professional standards command, and he's going to have his gun and everything stripped off him. So of course he comes back in, and I'm the supervisor. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But I've been told you got to go down and see Sergeant whatever downstairs. He's like, what's it about? I'm like, I don't know. You didn't fucking tell me. Cool. It goes down. And I picked this sergeant specifically because he's really he'd be on it. Like, he alleged you touched him here. You made certain noises and mimic certain sexual acts. And this guy's, but I didn't even do the search. I just spoke to him through the car window. He's making it up. So you lied on a police event. So this guy just trying to get stats up doing this, it's just a stupid thing to do. He's never actually searched this kid. He's just gone past, seen him on the street, like, hey, what are you doing? And the guy's like, I'm going shopping.
Good talk.
And he's gone, I was wearing this, and we searched him and found nothing. Right?
Terrible.
But then the supervisor's given the whole.
Mate, he learned his lesson.
So you didn't search him, but there's no evidence. He says you did this. Body cams weren't a thing then.
Yeah.
So this guy's like, my career's over. I'm done. And I walked in and I'm like, you just shouldn't with the wrong people, bro. And we laughed. We had a good time. So nowhere near what you did. I think my favorite prank was, and it was a good prank for me because I freaking could not stand the guy that I did it to. So I had this detective sergeant who'd been part of the, you remember, transit police used to be a different section. They were actually employed by the railways.
Yep.
They got amalgamated with the cops, and he got brought in with that. And he was this little guy, I guess the best way to describe him would be a rotund detective sergeant, and not someone I had a lot of respect for. And I didn't have a lot of respect for him because he just wasn't that good. And he just spent all his time in the office wasting your time. So we'd do this thing like I was near the door and he'd sit kind of behind me facing the door. And every time someone walked in, he'd be like, what do you know? So I'd be like, what do you know, Danny? But okay, first thing in the morning, fair enough. Every time you walked out and went to the toilet, went to lunch, whatever, because he was just looking for a conversation. He didn't want to do anything. So you're trying to sit there and he's like, what do you know? What do you know? What do you know? To everybody. But then he would eat mandarins and he knew I was a germaphobe. So he'd spit the seeds at me. So it hit me in the back. And I was like, you know, there's that guy you want to drag outside and punch in the face?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was that guy. So I got my transfer to sex crimes, and this happened in just the last couple of months before I went to sex crimes. So it's building and building and building. And I told him I don't like it, you know, so I've tried to confront him like, mate, just, you know, fair's fair, we have fun, but that's shit. Nah, he kept going, okay, fuck you. So I finished on the Friday. I was supposed to start at Monday morning at sex crimes. I went to the local Coles and I bought 2 of their biggest bags of birdseed and Glad wrap.
Nice.
And boot polish. So then I wrapped his keyboard and his computer in Glad wrap and I spread birdseed all over his desk.
Love it.
I went through his drawers. I spread birdseed all through his drawers. I pulled out so he had like some of his appointments in his pouches with his different elements of his appointments in there, like handcuffs and stuff. That all got birdseed in it, everywhere. And then I did his locker as well. And then I went around and I put up like 50 different pages of what do you know, what do you know, what do you know, what do you know, what do you know? And I plastered the wall with it, except for the one right by the door. And on that one, I put, what do you know, such and such? I know that he who laughs loudest and longest.
Nice.
So, and I've done it on a Sunday night because we didn't have a Sunday cruise. So I knew no one was going to find it.
Yep.
And at the same time, I boot polished his phone. There was a couple other pranksters. I boot polished theirs. I went around everywhere in the station, got all the shredded paper and filled up 2 of the guys' lockers that were always pranksters, just filled their lockers chock-a-block. And because one was bigger than the other, I swapped because they had to have a uniform in their locker, I swapped their uniform across. So one would find it too big and one would find it too small. So next morning I'm at sex crimes and it's like, you know, 7:05 and I get a phone call going, Macklin, did you do this? I'm like, do what? I don't know what you're talking about. And in the background, all I can hear is, I'll effing kill him. What an ass. I will find that mother. And they're like, no, did you do this? I'm like, I have no seeding idea what you're talking about. And I just kept getting text messages and photos, you know, of like, he was cleaning up birdseed for 4 weeks.
Well, you gave him something to do.
I did give him something to do. He couldn't work at his desk for about a whole day.
But what do you know?
Exactly. And yeah, everybody thought that was absolutely, because he was just that guy that I think pissed off everybody.
So one of the things that's sort of part and parcel of the police journey is that when you just come in as a new probationary constable, sometimes there's a bit of a baptism of fire.
I think in the modern era they call it hazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So some people lend themselves more than others.
Yeah.
We had this bloke, and you know who Tackleberry is, right, from Police Academy? So
Who
Tackleberry,
doesn't?
I don't
Yeah.
think Jen, do you know who that is? No. So he's the really gung-ho, he lives and breathes police. He does nothing but police shows, police ringtones, police, everything's police, right? Just way over the top. He's the guy that he'll buy his own everything, right? He'll have 14 torches and all this kind of crap. So one of these guys who joined later in life, so it was even worse. Like, what are you doing? You should be mature enough. Like, I expect it from the 19-year-olds. But this guy was well into his 30s, joining, right?
Yeah.
And I remember, and again, he ended up on my team. And the field training officer that was looking after him, he was just complaining to me. He's like, I can't deal with this guy. This guy's too much. In the police car, every time I hit the siren, he starts punching the roof. Yeah, we're going.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, oh, Jesus. And this guy that I supervised for a little bit, like his training officer, is like ex-commando, sort of a very disciplined guy.
Yeah.
Great cop. And you're like, he's ended up with the wrong bloke, right? And he came to me, he goes, please, do your thing with this bloke. He goes, he needs to be brought back a couple of, okay. So he had foolishly said in front of me that, so we were at Bankstown at the time, that he wanted to go to Campsie, and he was upset that he didn't get to go to Campsie and he got Bankstown instead. With neighbouring commands, but for whatever reason, he's like, he would smash it at Campsie. Again, this new recruit who's, anyway.
So this guy, he does sound like a massive douchebag.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right. So I call him. I go to him, Constable so-and-so. He goes, yep. This is blah, blah, blah from HR. Did you have your first preference as Campsie? He goes, yes, I did. I go, excuse me, you'll address me as sir. You're talking to a chief inspector. And he's like, sorry, sir, blah, blah, blah. I go to him, okay. Here's what's going to happen. I'll be coming down past Bankstown Station. I'm actually swapping an officer to bring them into Bankstown, and you'll be coming with me to Campsie. He goes, okay, that sounds amazing. He was so happy. I go to him, but as you've already broken protocol, you'll be standing at the front and you'll be saluting as my car drives past.
You didn't know.
So I go to him, I'll be there in 5 minutes. I'm driving, and I picked like a, I don't know, I think it was like a white, whatever, sedan. I go in a white sedan. If I don't see you from top of the street saluting, you're not going anywhere. No! Now, I can see him as he's like on the phone, right? Mate gets off the phone, goes and gets his stuff, gets his level ones, like he's getting his hat. And
Yeah.
mate, at the front of the station, standing like this, right? Now, I don't want others to come and tell him what the hell are you doing and whatever. So like we're spreading it amongst the group to make sure, just leave him. Let's see how long he'll stay out the front.
How long it takes him.
Fucking doing this, right? Anyway, he stays out there for a while. So then he's senior officer sitting next to me. He's loving this. And he goes to me. And I thought, you know what? I'll take it up a notch. Call him back. Go to him. Are you out the front? He goes, yeah. I go, well, I can't see her. I go, look, you know what? I'll just meet you at Campsie. And he goes, what? I go, I'll meet you at Campsie. He goes, Campsie, don't you mean Campsie? I go, no. Didn't you say you want to go to Campsie? That's what your paperwork is for. You're going to Campsie. Then oh no, I don't really want, what do I? And then he gets, and I'm like, oh shit. He gets off the phone and runs to his supervisor. How do I get out? And I'm like, ah shit. So then I got dragged in and like dressed down for what the hell are you doing? So it didn't quite work out the way I expected it to work out. But seeing him sitting at the front was pretty cool. I've got to say, I was pretty impressed with that. Now, you would have thought that's enough to never make me any kind of authority figure. But no. Because we were short on field teaching officers, they had no choice but to keep giving me new probationary constables to teach. And don't get me wrong, if you're a good person, I went out of my way for you. Just don't be arrogant and stupid. Now, I'll be careful because some of them are still around. But one of these that I can talk about, she came to me and that shift, Because when they're brand new, you're 3 up. So there's 3 of you. Because you're kind of a liability in the beginning. So you have another confirmed officer. Now I was with someone that was more senior to me as well at the time. So me and we were great friends. So me and him got along really well. He's probably equivalent to me in pranking, kind of. So giving us her, and she already had a bit of a reputation of knowing everything. Again, started a bit later in life. I won't list her former professions because then you could probably work out who she is. Anyway, the whole drive, she's just talking about how she would have done this better and this is what she should. She's talking about previous shifts she'd had with other cops and how not hitting the mark they are.
Oh.
Yeah. And you're what, 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in? So I look at him, he knew, he's like, he nods, like, okay, no worries. So we're going to do a break and enter, all right? And all we were there for was a fingerprint assessment, all right? So, someone's breaking into the house, they've lost stuff, whatever, come and gone. They want us to see, are there any suitable surfaces for fingerprinting, okay? It was because of resourcing, whatever. They're like, okay, so even the break and enter report's done. It's on the way, how it is. Usually that's like a 10-minute, 5-minute job. So, and this is like summer, like it's hot. So I go into a so-and-so. All right, we're going to do this. What do you need to do? So she starts quoting law on break and enter. I'm like, okay, just so we're clear, we haven't arrested anyone. We don't know who's done it. And you're telling me what you're going to put on the charge sheet. And not only that, you're just telling me what law comes from in the Crimes Act. That's wonderful. Practically now, what are you going to do when you walk through this house? Oh, well, I'm going to ask them 1, 2, 3. After me explaining what a fingerprint assessment is at least 3 times. So I'm like, okay. Well, first things first, go get your coat. She goes, what do you mean? She goes, the raincoat? I go, yeah, get it on. I go, you don't want fingerprint dust all over you, do you? She goes, oh, no. I go, so you're going to be the one doing the fingerprinting. She goes, okay. So she puts on the raincoat. Now, as I said, it's pretty hot. We get to the house and I wink at my offsider and I take out the metal detector. All right, and I take that down with me. We get to the house and it's like a family kind of thing. So my offsider knows what to do. Go handle the family and do the proper job, right? I go with her and I'm like, haven't got the dust. We'll have to use the electronic one. She goes, oh, okay. So then I hand her the metal detector. And I tell her, just scan it along the window's edge and every time it beeps, make a note in your log and draw where exactly on it's happened. Now it's a metal detector, so it doesn't shut up. So it's me. So she's, so she puts a cross. She draws in her notebook at like the frame of the window, puts a cross. Again. And this is gonna take. Okay, look, you're gonna be a while. There's plenty of prints. I'll be back. So we go finish what we're doing with the thing. It's all good. It's all done. So we just tell her when you're done, just let us know. It will automatically stop beeping once you've finished. So she's there for ages. By now, the family and the kids have come past and they're looking at her. Oh, look at the fingerprint. They're loving it. Like this is amazing shit. Anyway, I'm like, all right, come on, time to go. Get her in the car. She goes to take the jacket off. What are you doing? I go, no, protocol. Once you put a jacket on, you don't take it off till we get to the station. Oh, okay. So leaves it on. All this kind of stuff. And then we finally get to the station. She comes out, and I'm like, oh, inspector's walking straight out. He's going, first he's going to do why she wear. So I just went, oh, you can take it off now. She goes, no, I'll leave it on. I kind of like it. No, you can take it off. Take it off now. Take it off. Anyway, takes it off. A number of things happened at that shift, which again, like, let's just go past it. But let's just say she didn't know everything she thought she knew. Now, previously, she did have a job in the medical arena and a decent level of medical knowledge you'd need to have this job. We go to a job where a person has attempted self-harm by stabbing himself in the thigh with a butcher's knife. Pretty decent job, and as you know, the femoral artery is pretty serious and you don't want to be hitting that. So luckily he hadn't. So we get there and there he is with this knife stuck in his thigh, and she's like, I know what to do here.
Oh no.
And she goes to rip the knife out. Literally. I actually grabbed her hand. What are you doing? We've got to get it out. It could cause infection.
As well as cut everything on the way out, as well as...
Here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
As he's holding his hand on the knife, we're going to bandage around it and keep it on there until the paramedics get here. You're going to kill this man. And I'm now having an argument with this idiot about whatever. Paramedics turn up. First thing they ask, who did this? And then she went, he did. He goes, it's exactly what you're supposed to do. Ta-da. I go, are you supposed to rip it out? They start laughing. I go, no, she's serious. You would have ripped out. He goes, could have hit the femoral artery. It's a jagged knife. You would have killed him. It would have bled out. Yeah. Welcome to the force. Yeah. So that was my interaction with this. I felt like it was justified hazing in that circumstance. She did, by the way, go upstairs and complain, and I got spoken to by the inspector.
Yes.
He actually giggled. He goes, I've never seen a fingerprint thing done that way. He goes, very good, McCarty, but never again. And you're not to work with her again. Okay, no worries. That's a shame. I really like working with her. She may or may not be still there.
Probably been promoted to management.
Yes.
Well, yes, definitely. Whatever you did in the regards to that was way better than mine. I'm not even pretending to hold a match to that. Well, yeah, I think we're done.
Yeah, I think I'm done.
Mate, I found that particularly hilarious. I hope you people at home did, listening, watching. Because we're running into the silly season, guys. I hope everybody's safe. I know lots of crazy stuff happens this time of year. I'm always thankful that I don't work on full moons and I don't work on New Year's, Christmas, all the rest of that. I feel for you, sitting there that do, and I'm very thankful. I know we both are, that you're out there doing the job that you do. So thank you for that. One of my things is I often get over Christmas or whatnot, I ask for books, and I like to read a book or two in this short break we have. And I would suggest to you, if you're in the cops or looking to go to the cops, 2 books you should read and never start your policing career without is The Art of War by Sun Tzu, and the other one is Verbal Judo, right? Start with those 2, build on that. It will do you well. So that's my tip over Christmas, to keep yourself safe and also to just improve your understanding of people in life. Danny, any words of wisdom before we close off?
No, look, thank you for your support throughout this season. It's been cool. We love getting comments and some comments. And we like the banter. Some people have asked us for advice, which we've been happy and honoured to give. Anything you believe we can assist with, we're receptive to it. And hopefully next year you might see us again, and if things are going great for you, hopefully they're going great for us too. Stay safe out there. The holiday period is particularly dangerous for the frontline workers. You're always in our prayers, and make sure the most important things that you guys come home safe to your families.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, team. Stay safe. Be good. We'll see you next time.